Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you how to make my favorite bread in the world. It's called in French a Tresse or in German a Zopf. I think it is kind of the same as a challah in the United States. I know there's a few places you can buy a similar bread and they call it a challah. So my recipe is gonna be the real recipe from Switzerland that I always did growing up as a child. It's very delicious and actually quite easy to make. So let's watch how we do it. So for the ingredients for this recipe, we need some salt, some milk, flour, some yeast, and some sugar, butter, and an egg. The egg we only use at the end of the dough, like once the dough is ready. Before we put it in the oven, we're gonna only use the yellow of the egg, and we will kind of use it as a coating for the bread, so we'll kind of give this brownish look to it. And now this here, Hagelzucker, I am not sure how we call it in English or where we can find it. I have not found that in the United States. So I brought that back from one of my trip from Europe. And it's kind of like sugar, bowls of little sugar. It's very tasty. I like to put that on my bread. It's totally optional. You don't have to put it on if you don't have any. So let's get going. So to prepare the dough, I like to use a bread machine, as you can see here. I only use it to make the dough, to prepare it, but I won't use it for actually baking the bread. And also, I wanted to let you know about the butter. I noticed that for this recipe, I can't believe it's not butter. It's the best butter that works well with for this bread. So if you don't have it, I would recommend you to go to the store and buy this kind. It will just guarantee that your bread will turn out much better. So in my bread machine, I already put in the flour, a sprinkle of salt, some butter, sugar, and some yeast. And now I have to prepare the milk. Once I add the milk, it has to be a little bit warm. So I took my milk out of the fridge, so it is too cold for this recipe. So I will just kind of warm it up in the microwave to room temperature. I have put my milk in a measuring glass and I already put it in the microwave. I think I left it in for about a minute on high power level. So maybe your microwave might be different for this. So you just kind of want to test it out and start with little time, and you always can increase the time because you definitely don't want your milk to be too warm. So it's just a little bit warmer than room temperature, and I will now put my milk in my bread machine. I have put all my ingredients now in my bread machine, and on this machine here, number 8 is the dough. So I will press until I see number 8. Here it says the dough takes about an hour and a half. I will close the lid and just push start, and it will get my dough ready, and it will grow for the next probably an hour and a half. Sometimes I leave it a little bit longer than what it is suggested here. So probably in 2 hours I will come back to see how my dough is doing. After a couple of hours, my dough is ready now. So I will take it out of my bread machine and I will make a braid. I made a braid with my dough and I put it onto a baking sheet. So the next step is to do the coating. So for the coating, I actually used 2 eggs. My eggs were pretty little, so I just used 2 yellow eggs and I added a little bit of vegetable oil and just a sprinkle of sugar, and I mixed it up. And now I will spread it onto my braid that I made here. So this is what it looks like once I put my coating on, and the next step is to put on, and this is optional, just as a reminder, some like sugar balls. So it's gonna look pretty interesting. This is what it looks like once I put my sugar balls on top of it. So it is ready now to go in my oven. So I preheated my oven at 400 degrees because it's convection. I used the quick bake. However, if you don't have that setting, you can just use the 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So this will go in for about 20 minutes, and then I will have to cover it with a foil because my bread will be pretty dark looking already, but the inside is not cooked all the way through. After about 20 minutes of baking, this is what it looks like. So I will put this foil on top so it won't burn, but it still will cook. So I will let it bake for another 15 minutes. After 35 to 40 minutes in the oven, I was able to take my bread out, and I will just let it cool down. It's pretty hot right now, and then you should be just ready to enjoy. So I hope that you enjoyed this video as well, and I will talk to you in the next video, and just stay tuned.